This video is a review of some of the features of MLA style and citation. On your screen you'll see an MLA style paper. This is the first page of the paper. It does not have a cover page like APA style does. Up in the upper left-hand corner we have your name, your professor's name, the course, and the date. In MLA style, the date always begins with the day in a numeral, the month, and the year. If it's a longer word for the month like November or December, they shorten it with an abbreviation, but April is written out because it's a shorter word. In the upper right hand, this is in the header part of the paper, you have your last name and the page number. Word can do this for you automatically, so you won't have to do it on each page. Following the date is the title. This is centered. It's in title case, which means the first word is capitalized, but it is not bold, it's not underlined, it's not any special font, it just is regular font like the rest of the paper. And also notice that there's no extra spaces between the date and the title, and no extra spaces between the title and the first paragraph. The first paragraph is indented, as are all the paragraphs, and there are no extra spaces between paragraphs. Here we have our first in-text citation. It's an attributive tag. Very common one that people use is according to and then the author. This is a nice way to incorporate an attributive tag into your text because we also have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about this person. Lorene Goodwin is a food historian, and it just adds a little bit more credibility to your source. At the end of the information, this could be a quote or a paraphrase. There is a page number, if there is one available, in parentheses, and notice that the period goes after the parentheses, not before it. Here's another way to incorporate an author into your text. This is called a signal phrase. Michael Pollan, who has written extensively about Americans' unhealthy eating habits, notes that. So we have a verb here that kind of tells a little bit more about what Michael Pollan is doing in his text. And then we have a quote, and there's no page number here, which tells me probably this came from a web source. Now sometimes we do have the authors in a parenthetical. That's what this is called in parentheses, a parenthetical citation at the end. In this case we have according to a nationwide poll. So the attributive tag has already been mentioned here, but we still need to have the authors because we need to know who wrote it. So in this case we have two authors, Neergaard and Agista. So if there are two authors, you should always name both of them with an and, not written out, not an ampersand like they do in APA. Sometimes a government agency can be the author. In this case we have the United States Department of Health and Human Services, and we'll see how this is listed in the works cited in a minute. Scrolling down, here's another author in a parentheses. Now here we have Mello et al. This means that there is more than one more author besides Mello. So there are 2, 3, 4, 5 extra additional authors. So more than two authors, you use the first author's last name, ET space AL, and that means and others. And so we know it's not just Mello, but there's more than Mello. In this case here, according to one nonprofit health advocacy group, and then we have some information, and then we have facts here. This source does not have an author, so if there are no authors, then you need to list your information by the title. In this case, it's parenthetical, so it's a shortened form of the title. You don't have to write out the entire title, and we'll look at how that is listed in the works cited in a minute. But make sure you use the quotation marks so that we know that it is a title. So list by author or authors if they are available. If there are no authors, then you list by title. Scrolling down, we have one more thing to look at, and that is if you are quoting more than 4 lines of text. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You need to use the long quote format. So that's one tab in, and it's lined up like a block quotation, and there are no quotation marks. So this signifies that it's a long quote format, and it's introduced with a complete sentence followed by a colon, not just colonally says. Okay, so you want to say a whole sentence introducing the long quote. Scrolling down, scrolling down. Oh, one more thing I want to say about the quote, and that is the period goes before the parentheses if you have a page number here. For long quotes, it's after if it's in your text. Here's your works cited. So a couple things to point out. Works cited, not references, not bibliography, but works cited, centered title case. And then notice this overhanging indent. This is what we mean by overhanging indent. The first line is out at the margin, and subsequent lines for each citation are indented, which makes it very easy to locate the various sources. Also notice they are alphabetical by last name or by title. This one is listed under F because we don't count the T and the. We don't count A and an. So an and the we don't count, but we start with the first word. So C, F, G, G, M. It's alphabetical. Very easy to find our sources down here. So for this source, we have last name, comma, first name, period, quotes. This is the title of the piece. And then we have the larger container in italics. So the smaller container, which is usually the title of the piece, is in quotes, and the larger container, which is either the title of the book or the title of the website, in this case it's the title of the newspaper, is in italics. This one is an online article. This long thing is the URL. And in this case, the website doesn't list a date, and so you should list the access date if there is no date on the website. This number here is a DOI number, see DOI. If there's one available, that is preferable to a URL because it's a permanent storage place for that electronic document. You can always find it there. So if there is a DOI number, use that instead of the URL. And here we've got Mello, Michelle, et al. That means Michelle and others, so the other people that are listed on the document, you don't have to list them. But here we have two. In this case, last name, comma, first name, comma, and the second name is first name, last name. So you don't have to invert the second name, just the first one for alphabetizing. Scrolling down, here we have the United States as an author. This is a government agency that you can list as author. And that's about it for this video. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.